From the icy north rose the Vikings, a ruthless brotherhood shrouded in mystery. In 845, their dragon-headed ships unleashed terror on Paris, forcing a king to pay them silver to vanish. Were they mere warriors, or something far darker? The shock that historians dread. Their empire didn't end. It left a secret legacy, pulsing beneath our world today. What did these Vikings hide? And are we living in their shadow? The wind howls through the jagged fjords of Scandinavia, carrying a secret older than the stones themselves. It is the year 750, a time when the world beyond these icy cliffs knew nothing of the storm about to break. From the shadows of this unforgiving land, a people would rise, later called the Vikings. Their birth not a proclamation of kings, but a whisper of survival etched in blood and bone. Historians pore over ancient texts, their fingers tracing runestones that hint at a fractured tribal chaos. Yet the truth remains elusive. Were they forged by poverty, ambition, or a darker force stirring in the north? Step into this enigma, where every gust of wind might unveil the origin of an empire that would shake the foundations of Europe. Imagine a land where the soil yields little, where the sun dips below the horizon for months, leaving only the cold embrace of winter. This was 8th century Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, a patchwork of tribes with no borders, no nations, only clans bound by kinship and the law of the strong. The sagas speak of free men and women, unbound by the feudal chains of southern kingdoms, their lives a dance of hunting, fishing, and meager farming on rocky terrain. Yet beneath this rugged existence pulsed a restlessness, a hunger that the land could not sate. Scholars debate whether overpopulation or elite rivalries, sons cast out by primogeniture, ignited their wanderlust. But one thing is clear: necessity was the mother of their destiny. The Europe they would soon terrorize was a continent of contrasts. To the south, Charlemagne's Frankish Empire gleamed with written laws, churches, and a budding feudal order, its power peaking in 793. The Arabs held the Iberian Peninsula, their caliphates a beacon of culture, while Byzantium clung to the remnants of Rome's glory. Yet none of these powers mastered the seas, their trade lumbering along muddy roads, their navies a distant dream. Into this world stepped the Scandinavians, later dubbed Normans by their foes, Varangians by the Rus, a people unnoticed until their dragon-proud ships cut through the mist. What sparked this transformation from obscurity to dominance, and what hidden knowledge did they carry from their frozen homeland? The answer lies in the scarcity that shaped them. Unlike the fertile plains of Francia, Scandinavia's thin soil offered scant reward, its climate a cruel taskmaster. Families huddled in longhouses, their hearths the heart of a society where strength determined status, and weakness invited ruin. The sagas hint at a code. Property belonged only to those who could defend it, a principle that birthed the first warlords from the chaos of tribal skirmishes. Overpopulation added fuel to the fire. Eldest sons inherited, while younger siblings, often of noble blood, faced exile or rebellion. Was this the crucible that forged the Viking spirit, a blend of desperation and daring that would soon turn their eyes seaward? Their ships were the key, a marvel born of necessity and ingenuity. The Drakkar, with its single keel and flexible planks, was no mere vessel but a weapon, capable of carrying 70 warriors, its speed reaching 12 knots, with a woolen sail pieced from scraps. Historians marvel at its design, a craft that could navigate fjords and open seas, its low profile merging with the horizon to strike unseen. Yet how did a people with no written records, no centralized state, master such technology? Some whisper of ancient seafaring knowledge passed down through generations, others of a divine pact with the gods of storm and wave. The truth, buried in the shipyards of Roskilde, suggests a leap forward that defies their supposed primitivism. The year 793 marks the first tremor of their awakening. On the remote island of Lindisfarne, off England's coast, monks knelt in prayer when dragon ships emerged from the fog, their crews descending like wolves. The monastery burned, its treasures looted, a raid that sent shockwaves through Christendom. This was no random act, but the birth cry of an empire, a signal that the Vikings had turned their gaze outward. Charlemagne's death in 814, fracturing his empire, opened the door wider, its weakened defenses inviting the northern tide. What drove these raiders to leave their hearths, and what ancient grudge or ambition fueled their first strike? The society they left behind offers clues. These were not slaves or serfs, but free individuals. Their courts decided by the strength of kin and voice at the Thing, a democratic assembly where disputes were settled with words or steel. Women held power over their property and divorces, a rarity in medieval Europe, while men lived by a warrior's code, seeking glory in Valhalla over a quiet death. Yet this freedom came with a price. Land was scarce, trade with neighbors futile when all held the same meager wealth. The sea became their lifeline, a path to riches beyond the fjords, where monasteries and towns promised gold unguarded. Was this liberty the spark that ignited their conquest, or a mask for a deeper, darker purpose? As the 9th century dawned, the Vikings were no longer just survivors. They were a force. Their raids evolved from opportunistic plunder to strategic campaigns, their ships carrying not just warriors, but a vision of empire. The Frankish chroniclers called them pagans from the north. Yet beneath the label lay a people adapting, learning, and conquering. Historians ponder whether their rise was inevitable, a collision of circumstance and will, or if a hidden hand guided them from the shadows. The runestones, silent sentinels of their past, hint at a story yet untold, a narrative of how a scattered tribe became the architects of a secret dominion. The question lingers: what lies beneath this origin story? The Vikings' emergence was no accident, but a puzzle pieced together from hardship, innovation, and an unquenchable thirst for more. As we stand on the brink of their tale, the fjords whisper a warning. The shadow of their empire is not gone, but dormant, waiting for the bold to uncover its secrets. What drove these men and women to leave their icy cradle? And what mysteries did they carry into the world? The answer awaits, etched in the waves and blood of their first voyages. The architects of terror Viking leaders unveiled. The mist clings to the jagged cliffs of Scandinavia, where shadows move with a purpose that echoes through time. In the 9th and 10th centuries, a cadre of warlords emerged from these frozen fjords, their names carved into runestones and whispered in fear across continents. These were the Viking leaders: ragnarlothbrok, Harald Bluetooth, Rollo the Walker, Ivar the Boneless, and Bjorn Ironside, architects of a shadow empire that reshaped Europe with fire and steel. But who were these men, and what drove them to rise from tribal chaos to legendary status? Prepare to unlock the enigma of their origins, their fame, and the cryptic nicknames that mask their true power. Ragnarlothbrok, the Serpent's survivor. Deep in the lore of the 9th century, a figure looms larger than life: Ragnarlothbrok, a name that reverberates like a war drum across Norway's icy shores. Was he a king, a pirate, or a myth spun from the sagas by skalds around flickering hearths. Historians debate his existence, yet his tale begins in a pit of vipers, where a young warrior faced death and emerged victorious, earning the nickname Lothbrok, meaning hairy breeches. Legend whispers that his mother stitched leather pants from a bull's hide to shield him from the snake's fangs, a story that saved his life and launched his raise. His fame exploded in 845 when he led a fleet of dragon ships to Paris, forcing King Charles the Bald to pay 7,000 pounds of silver in tribute. A raid so audacious, it birthed the great heathen army under his sons Ivar and Bjorn. But was Ragnar a man of flesh or a symbol of rebellion? His legacy a riddle buried beneath the Seine's muddy banks? Harald Bluetooth, the Unifier with a dark mark. Shift the gaze to Denmark, where Harald Bluetooth ascended in the 10th century, a king whose name now pulses in every smartphone and laptop. His nickname, Bluetooth, stems from a discolored tooth, blackened, perhaps by a battle wound or a curse from the old gods, a mark that set him apart in a land of strife. Born into a fractured Denmark of warring tribes, Harald united his people and parts of Norway under a single banner, a feat achieved not with brute force alone, but with the strategic embrace of Christianity around 965. The gelling stones erected in his honor bear runes proclaiming his conversion. Yet was this faith a genuine belief or a calculated move to secure alliances with the Frankish kings? His legacy endures in the Bluetooth technology, its logo a fusion of his initials in runic script, hinting at a connection lost to time. What secret pact did Harald forge, and how does his mark still bind our modern world? Rollo the Walker, the giant who tamed a kingdom. From the rugged coast of Norway strides Rollo, known as the Walker, a colossus whose legend spans the late 9th century to the dawn of Normandy. His nickname arose from a frame so massive that no horse could bear his weight, forcing him to march on foot through battlefields slick with blood, his presence a terror to behold. Exiled from his homeland for his unrelenting ambition, Rollo turned to the seas, leading raids that culminated in the 911 siege of Paris, where his fleet's shadow darkened the Seine. King Charles the Simple, outmaneuvered and desperate, offered him Normandy in the Treaty of Saint-Clair-sur-Epte, a land Rollo transformed into a dukedom whose descendants, including William the Conqueror, conquered England in 1066. Yet was this peace a surrender or a masterful infiltration, embedding Viking blood into Europe's aristocracy? The answer lies in the stone walls of Rouen, waiting to be deciphered. Ivar the Boneless, the crippled conqueror. The shadow of Ragnar's legacy emerges Ivar the Boneless, a warrior born around 860 in Sweden. His name a paradox that defies his might. His nickname, Boneless, hints at a physical affliction, perhaps brittle bones from a genetic disorder, or a limp that marked him from birth. Yet he conquered with a mind as sharp as any blade. Leading the great heathen army after Ragnar's supposed death in a Northumbrian snake pit, Ivar seized York in 867, his strategic brilliance outwitting King Ailla's forces in a revenge-fueled campaign. Saga suggests he used his frailty as a lure, drawing enemies into underestimating him, a tactic that turned weakness into strength. His end remains shrouded in mystery, lost to the mists of time, but his rule left a scar on England that echoes in its chronicles. What dark genius lay behind his crippled frame, and what secrets did he take to his grave? Bjorn Ironside, the son who sailed to glory. Bjorn Ironside, another of Ragnar's sons, carves his name into the 9th century with a title born of unyielding resilience. Ironside came from a battle where arrows pierced his shield, his iron will turning a near-fatal wound into a badge of honor, a tale sung by skalds across Sweden. From his homeland, he led daring raids to the Mediterranean, sacking Luna in Italy, mistaken for Rome, and burning Seville in 844, his Drakkar cutting through waves to distant shores. His journey to North Africa, a navigational feat that stunned his enemies, showcased the Viking reach beyond Europe, his fleet returning with treasures that fueled his fame. But what drove this prince to seek glory so far from home? And what hidden riches did he bury in the sands of history? The answer may lie in the uncharted waters he dared to cross, the Brotherhood of Power. These leaders, Ragnar, Harald, Rollo, Ivar, Bjorn, were more than marauders. They were the architects of a secret empire, their nicknames reflecting trials that shaped their destinies. Each rose from the tribal chaos of Scandinavia, their fame built on raids that toppled monasteries and kings, from Lindisfarne's ashes to Paris's ransom. Yet behind their steel gleamed a strategy to conquer, assimilate, and leave a legacy that outlasted their blades, their bloodlines weaving into the fabric of nations. The sagas hint at a brotherhood, bound by more than kinship, perhaps a pact with the gods or a hidden code of conquest. What united these men, and what buried motives propelled them across seas and centuries? The runestones hold the key, their silent runes a challenge to the curious. The legacy etched in blood. The fame of these warlords was no accident, but a tapestry woven from courage, cunning, and a touch of myth. Ragnar's Paris raid sparked a legacy of terror. Harald's unification laid the groundwork for Denmark's rise, and Rollo's Normandy became a stepping stone to England's conquest. Ivar's strategic mind and Bjorn's seafaring prowess expanded their reach, each leader adding a thread to the Viking enigma. Chroniclers of the time feared them as pagans, yet their influence lingered, their nicknames a code to unlock their true nature. What drove these men to leave their icy cradle, and what secrets did they embed in the empires they built? The answer waits, etched in the blood-stained stones of their past, daring you to uncover the truth. The air grows thick with the scent of iron and ash, a battlefield where shadows wield death with chilling precision. Beneath the fur-clad warriors of the Viking age gleamed an arsenal, forged not in royal forges, but in the crucible of survival, a secret that turned simple men into legends. Were these blades mere tools, or did they hide a darker art, a code of war whispered across the fjords? Step into this enigma, where every axe swing and sword clash reveals a piece of the puzzle that armed a shadow empire, its edge still cutting through history. Picture the Viking axe, a humble woodcutter's companion transformed into a harbinger of doom. Crafted from iron with a broad, curved blade, it weighed a mere 2 pounds, yet delivered blows that cleaved shields and skulls alike. Historians marvel at its dual nature, born of necessity in a land where metal was scarce, yet perfected for battle with a design that balanced speed and power. The sagas tell of warriors like ragnarlothbrok, wielding this weapon with lethal grace, its edge a symbol of their ruthless efficiency. But what secret craftsmanship elevated this tool into a terror of the battlefield? And who taught these northern smiths their deadly trade? Beside the axe gleamed the sword, a rarer prize looted from fallen foes or traded along shadowy routes. These blades, often of Frankish or Carolingian make, bore intricate patterns forged by folding steel, a technique that hinted at a hidden network stretching from Scandinavia to the Mediterranean. The Ulfbert swords, inscribed with mysterious runes, stand as enigmas, their superior quality suggesting a lost art guarded by a select few. Warriors prize them as status symbols, their edges capable of slicing through armor, yet few could afford such luxury. What ancient knowledge fueled these masterpieces? And why did their makers shroud their origins in silence? The shield was no mere defense, but a dancer's partner in the Viking war game. Round and wooden, reinforced with iron rims, it measured about 3 feet across, light enough to wield with one hand, yet sturdy enough to turn aside a spear. In battle, warriors formed the shield wall, a tactic where overlapping shields created an impenetrable barrier, their rhythm a deadly choreography. Archaeological finds reveal painted designs, spirals, runes, even faces, hinting at spiritual protection or a warrior's identity. But was this wall a shield against enemies or a veil hiding a deeper strategy, a tactic born of desperation or genius? Combat was an art mastered through brutal necessity. The Vikings fought with a fluidity that belied their rugged image, their axes and swords, complemented by spears for thrusting and sea axes, short single-edged knives for close kills. Training began young, with boys sparring in the fjords, their skills honed in raids where survival demanded precision. The berserkers, those frenzied warriors said to fight in a trance, added a layer of terror, their roars drowning out the clash of steel. Historians debate whether mushrooms or sheer rage fueled their fury. Could this be the key to their battlefield dominance? A psychological weapon as potent as their blades. The evidence lies in the graves. Excavations at sites like Burka and Hedeby unearth weapons buried with their owners, a testament to their value. Axes show signs of repair, their handles worn smooth by countless grips, while swords bear nicks from desperate parries. Shields, often fragmented, suggest they absorbed blows meant for flesh, their splinters a silent story of survival. These artifacts whisper of a society where every warrior was a craftsman, every blade a legacy. But what drove them to invest such care in instruments of death? And what secrets did they take to their graves? Trade routes reveal another layer. The Vikings' weapons were not isolated creations, but part of a web connecting them to the wider world. Amber from the Baltic, silver from the east, and iron from the mines of Sweden flowed into their hands, traded for blades that outmatched local foes. The Volga and Dnieper rivers carried their goods to the Byzantine Empire and the Caliphate, where they bartered furs for steel. This network, hidden from Christian chroniclers, suggests a sophistication that contradicts their barbarian label. Could this trade have been the lifeline that armed their conquests? A silent empire within an empire. The psychological edge was as sharp as their steel. The Vikings' reputation preceded them, their weapons a symbol of inevitable doom. Monasteries fell not just to axe blows, but to the terror of their approach, monks fleeing before the first ship landed. Their raids on Paris in 845 and Seville in 844 showcased this power, where a handful of warriors with superior arms outmaneuvered larger forces. Yet this edge came with a cost. Reliance on looted gear left them vulnerable when trade faltered. What hidden flaw in their armament doomed them to eventual decline? And how did they mask it in their glory? The mystery deepens with the Berserker legend. Tales speak of these warriors shedding armor, fighting naked or in bearskins, their strength amplified by a potion, perhaps amanita mushrooms, as Minaev suggests, or a primal rage. Archaeological evidence is scant, but skeletal remains show signs of trauma consistent with frenzied combat. Were they elite shock troops, or did their madness conceal a ritualistic purpose, a link to the gods like Odin? This question haunts the battlefields, where the line between man and myth blurs, offering a glimpse into the Viking soul. As the clang of steel fades, the weapons tell a story of more than war. They were the tools of a people who turned scarcity into strength, their blades a bridge between survival and empire. The axe, the sword, the shield, each holds a piece of the puzzle, a testament to a savage art that reshaped Europe. But what drove these northern smiths to create such perfection? And what secrets did they embed in their craft? The answer lies in the iron, waiting to be forged into truth by those brave enough to seek it. The sea roars with a voice older than memory, its waves concealing a secret that shaped an empire. From the icy shipyards of Scandinavia, a fleet of shadows emerged. Drakkars, serpent-prowed vessels that sliced through the mist like living beasts, their hulls hiding an army's wrath. Were these ships mere wood and sail, or did they carry a hidden art, a key to the Viking dominion that baffled their foes? Step into this maritime enigma, where every wave whispers a clue to the vessels that turned a scattered tribe into masters of the seas. Imagine the birth of the Drakkar, a craft born in the 8th century along the shores of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. These longships, with their sleek, clinker-built hulls of overlapping oak planks, were marvels of ingenuity, their flexibility allowing them to bend with the fiercest storms. Measuring up to 30 meters, they carried 70 warriors or more, their shallow draft letting them glide into rivers or beach on foreign shores unseen. The prow, often carved with a dragon or snake head, was both a weapon and a warning, its glare striking fear into monasteries from Lindisfarne to Paris. But what ancient wisdom guided their creation, and who dared to dream of such a vessel in a land of ice and stone? The Drakkar's speed was its soul, a predator's grace on water. With a single square sail of wool, pieced from scraps by women's hands, it could reach 12 knots, faster than any contemporary ship. Its 16 to 34 oars, providing power when the wind failed. Archaeologists at Roskilde, where a 9th century wreck was unearthed, marvel at its balance of strength and lightness, a design that defied the heavy galleys of the south. This speed turned raids into lightning strikes, allowing Vikings to vanish before retaliation, a tactic that rewrote the rules of war. What secret craftsmanship made this possible? And how did a people with no written Navy manuals master such precision? The answer lies submerged in the fjord's depths. Not all ships were built for war. The Nar, a broader, sturdier vessel, emerged as the trader's lifeline, its deeper hull laden with goods like furs, amber, and slaves. Measuring 15-20 meters, it sailed the trade routes from the Baltic to the Caspian, its crew of 20 braving open seas where others feared to tread. The Drakkars, smaller and nimbler, served as scouts or escorts, their serpent-like forms darting ahead of the fleet. Together, these ships formed a network that linked Scandinavia to Byzantium and the Caliphate, a silent empire of commerce beneath the chaos of raids. But was this trade a cover for darker ambitions? And what treasures did they carry back to the north? Navigation was their hidden art, a skill that turned the sea into their ally. Without compasses, Vikings relied on the sunstone, a crystal that detected light through clouds, and the stars. Their knowledge passed orally through generations. The sun compass, a wooden disc with markings, guided them across the North Atlantic to Iceland and Greenland, feats that stunned medieval Europe. Sagas speak of ravens released to find land, a method as mystical as it was practical, while tidal patterns and bird flights offered clues in fog-bound waters. What ancient mariners taught them this craft, and how did they chart paths where no map existed? The sea guards this secret, its currents a silent testament. The Drakkars' construction was a communal ritual. Timber was felled in winter, its wood seasoned to resist rot, while iron nails and tar sealed the planks in a process that took months. Villages gathered for the launch, their chants invoking Frey or Njord, gods of wind and harvest, to bless the vessel. Archaeological finds show tools like adzes and augers, their wear suggesting a craft honed by trial and error. Yet the precision of these ships, capable of carrying 10 tons of cargo or 50 warriors, hints at a sophistication beyond survival. Was this a gift from the gods, or a knowledge stolen from older seafaring peoples? The shipyards hold the key. Their voyages rewrote history. In 793, the Drakkar brought terror to Lindisfarne, its crew sacking the monastery in a raid that marked the Viking Age. By 845, Ragnarlothbrok's fleet struck Paris, its speed outpacing Frankish defenses, while Bjorn Ironside sailed to Seville in 844, his ships burning the city's outskirts. These campaigns relied on the Drakkars' ability to strike and retreat, a mobility that turned the sea into a weapon. Chroniclers marveled at their reach from the Volga to the Atlantic, yet trembled at the cost. Villages left empty, their men lost to the waves. What drove them to risk such journeys? And what price did they pay in blood? The ships carried more than warriors. They bore a culture of adaptability, their designs evolving with each voyage. The addition of keels improved stability, while sails grew larger to harness trade winds, evidence of a people learning from every raid. Wreckage at Skoldilev shows repairs mid-journey, a testament to their resilience. Yet this evolution came with vulnerability. Reliance on timber left them dependent on northern forests, a weakness as Europe's armies grew. Could this be the flaw that foreshadowed their decline, a secret hidden in the wood grain? The mystery deepens with the spiritual bond. Vikings saw their ships as extensions of their souls, naming them with reverence. Long Serpent, Sea Stallion, and burying chieftains with their vessels as at Oseberg. Runestones depict ships sailing to Valhalla, suggesting a belief that the sea was a gateway to the afterlife. This connection fueled their daring, turning every voyage into a quest for glory. But what divine pact tied them to the waves? And how did it shape their empire's rise? The answer drifts on the tide, waiting for the bold to claim it. As the Drakkar fades into legend, its legacy endures. These serpent ships were more than vessels. They were the heartbeat of a shadow empire, their prows carving a path through history. From the fjords to the Mediterranean, they carried a people who turned the sea into their dominion, their craft a puzzle of survival and conquest. What secrets did they lock within these hulls, and how do their echoes still ripple through our world? The waves hold the truth, daring you to dive into the depths. The horizon darkens as dragon-prowed ships slice through the fog, their oars beating a rhythm of impending doom. In the late 8th century, a shadow fell across Europe, cast by Viking raiders whose blades rewrote history in blood. Were these voyages mere plunder, or did they conceal a grand design, a secret empire rising from the ashes of sacked monasteries and trembling kingdoms? Step into this crimson enigma, where every raid hides a clue to the terror that reshaped a continent. The Viking Age ignites with a single, fateful strike in 793. On the remote island of Lindisfarne, off England's northeast coast, monks knelt in prayer when Drakkars emerged from the mist, their crews descending like wolves. The monastery, a beacon of Christian peace, burned as warriors looted gold and manuscripts, their axes shattering stone altars. This raid, the first recorded Viking assault, sent shockwaves through Christendom, its chroniclers calling it the wrath of pagan gods. Was this a random act of greed, or the opening move in a campaign to destabilize the West? The answer lies in the embers of that sacred ruin. Decades later, the terror escalated with the siege of Paris, in 845. Led by the legendary ragnarlothbrok, a fleet of 120 ships navigated the Seine, their speed outpacing Frankish defenses. King Charles the Bald faced an army of 5,000 warriors, their dragon heads glaring from the water, a sight that turned royal courage to ash. After a brutal siege, Charles paid 7,000 pounds of silver, equal to a king's ransom, to send them away, a humiliation etched in the annals of Saint Bertrand. Yet whispers suggest Ragnar's retreat was a ruse, a strategic pause to plan a deeper conquest. What hidden motive drove this raid, and what did the Vikings gain beyond silver? The Mediterranean bore witness to their reach in 844, when Bjorn Ironside and Hastin led a daring assault on Seville. Sailing from Sweden, their fleet navigated the Guadalquivir River, bypassing Moorish defenses to sack the city's outskirts. The Caliphate, a powerhouse of culture and military might, reeled as Viking blades clashed with Muslim swords, the battle ending with a pyre of burning ships after a counterattack. Chroniclers marveled at their audacity, a raid 3,000 miles from home. Yet the Vikings escaped with plunder and slaves. Was this a test of their sea power, or a step toward a southern empire lost to history? The river's currents guard the secret. Ireland trembled under their boots, beginning with Dublin's founding in 841. The Vikings established a longport, a fortified base, turning the island into a hub for raids and trade. Over decades, they clashed with Irish kings, their settlements growing into thriving ports. Yet their rule was marked by bloodshed. Battles like Clontarf in 1014 saw their power wane. The annals of Ulster record their ferocity, yet also their integration, marrying into local clans. What drove them to settle these shores, and how did their blood mix with Ireland's destiny? The answer lies buried in Dublin's ancient streets. The Eastern European plains felt their tread as the Varangians, Viking traders and warriors, ventured along the Volga and Dnieper rivers. In 862, Rurik, a shadowy figure from Scandinavia, was invited to rule Novgorod, laying the foundation for the Kievan Rus. Their Drakkars carried furs and swords to Constantinople, where they served as the Varangian Guard. Elite protectors of the Byzantine Emperor, the primary chronicle hints at a pact, yet also at raids that terrorized Slavic villages. Was this expansion a quest for riches, or a hidden bid to link north and south in a vast dominion? The riverbanks hold the key. The scale of their campaigns was staggering. From 800 to 1100, Vikings raided over 200 sites, from the Caspian Sea to Newfoundland, their ships leaving a trail of sacked towns and trembling rulers. The Frankish Empire fragmented under their pressure, while England's kingdoms paid Danegeld, tribute to avoid destruction. Archaeological finds, hoards of silver and weapons, marked their path, yet the true cost was human, with villages emptied and monasteries silenced. What fueled this relentless expansion, and what toll did it exact on their own people? The silence of the conquered whispers the truth. Their tactics were a blend of chaos and strategy. The Vikings struck at dawn, using the element of surprise, their shallow draft ships beaching miles from targets to avoid detection. They targeted monasteries for their wealth, unfortified and rich with gold, yet also assaulted fortified cities like Paris, with siege engines looted from foes. The shield wall, a phalanx of overlapping shields, turned defense into offense, while their speed allowed hit-and-run raids. Chroniclers feared this adaptability, yet it masked a vulnerability. Overextension strained their resources. Could this be the crack in their armor, a flaw hidden in their victories? The impact lingered long after their blades withdrew. The raids weakened the Carolingian Empire, paving the way for feudalism, while their settlements in Ireland and Russia birthed new cultures. The Danelaw in England, a region under Viking law, shaped its language and governance. Its influence still felt in place names like By and Thorpe. Yet the cost was a legacy of fear, their name a curse in medieval prayers. What drove them to leave such a mark? And what secrets did they bury in the lands they conquered? The answer waits, etched in the blood-soaked soil. As the Voyages fade into legend, the question remains: were these campaigns the work of marauders, or the foundation of a shadow empire? The Lindisfarne raid sparked a century of terror. Paris's ransom fueled their legend, and Seville's flames stretched their reach. Each voyage was a thread in a tapestry of conquest, its pattern obscured by time. What drove these warriors to cross seas and rivers, and what hidden goal pulsed beneath their blades? The answer lies in the wake of their ships, daring you to uncover the truth. The wind shifts, carrying a chill through the once mighty fjords, where the echoes of dragon ships fade into silence. By the 11th century, the Viking Empire, once a terror that shook Europe, began to crumble, its throne teetering under forces both seen and unseen. Were these signs of decay a natural end, or did a hidden hand guide the fall of the Shadow Empire? Step into this twilight enigma, where every ruin whispers a clue to the unraveling of a legendary reign. The first crack appeared with the rise of organized resistance. As the 9th century waned, the Frankish Empire, battered by raids like Paris in 845, fortified its rivers with castles and chains, blocking Viking access to inland riches. King Alfred of Wessex, facing the great heathen army, built burhs, fortified towns, that turned England's open fields into a maze of defense, halting the Danelaw's expansion by 878. The Byzantine Empire and the Caliphate, too, bolstered their fleets, their galleys clashing with Drakkars in the Mediterranean. What secret shift in warfare turned the tide against these sea wolves? And how did their own tactics sow the seeds of defeat? The answer lies in the stone walls rising against them. Christianity crept into their souls, a silent conqueror more potent than any sword. Harald Bluetooth's conversion in 965, marked by the gelling stones, was a strategic move to unite Denmark, yet it rippled through Scandinavia, softening the pagan warrior spirit. Rollo's acceptance of baptism in 911, securing Normandy, bound his descendants to the Frankish crown, trading raids for titles. By 1000, Olaf Tryggvason and Olaf Haraldsson forced Norway and Iceland to embrace the cross, their churches replacing temples to Thor and Odin. Was this faith a bridge to peace, or a chain that bound their wild hearts? The runes hint at a struggle between old gods and new, a battle lost in prayer. Plagues and famines struck like unseen blades. The 10th century brought waves of disease, possibly smallpox or typhoid, carried along trade routes from Byzantium and the Caliphate, weakening Viking settlements in Ireland and Russia. Archaeological finds at Birka reveal mass graves, their bones telling of starvation after failed harvests. The thin Scandinavian soil, unable to sustain growing populations. Raids, once a source of wealth, drained manpower, leaving villages vulnerable. What hidden pestilence eroded their strength, and how did the land they conquered turn against them? The silence of the graves guards this secret. Internal divisions fractured their unity. The tribal structure, once their strength, became a liability as chieftains vied for power, their feuds weakening the cohesion of raids. The rise of petty kingdoms, Denmark under Harald, Norway under Olaf, shifted focus from conquest to governance, diluting the Viking spirit. The Varangians in the east, serving the Byzantine emperor, drifted from their northern kin, their loyalty split. Historians debate whether this was evolution or decay. Could a people so bound by the Thing assembly survive the weight of their own success? The sagas whisper of betrayal, a puzzle yet to be solved. The Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066 marked a turning point. Harald Hardrada, Norway's last great Viking king, led an invasion of England with 300 ships, his ambition to reclaim the Danelaw. Yet King Harold Godwinson's army, fresh from defeating another claimant, met him on the bridge, their spears piercing the Viking shield wall. Hardrada fell, his fleet reduced to 24 ships, a symbol of a dying era. Chroniclers saw this as divine judgment, yet the truth may lie in exhaustion. Years of campaigning had stretched their resources thin. What drove this final gamble, and what cost did it exact on their legacy? The River Ouse holds the answer. Trade, once their lifeline, turned into a double-edged sword. The Volga and Dnieper routes brought silver and silk, yet exposed them to diseases and rival powers like the Kievan Rus, who adopted Viking tactics to rival them. The Nars, laden with goods, slowed their war fleets, shifting focus from plunder to commerce. This wealth built towns like Hedeby and Birka, but also made them targets, their walls breached by local foes. Was this prosperity their undoing, a trap that lured them from the sea to the sword? The hoards of silver hint at a price paid in blood. The cultural shift was profound. As Christianity took root, the sagas, once tales of Valhalla, began to fade, replaced by chronicles of saints and kings. The Drakkar, once a symbol of terror, became a relic. Its construction skills lost, as shipbuilding turned to merchant vessels. Women, once wielding power over property, saw their roles diminish under church law, while the Thing assemblies gave way to feudal courts. Yet some whisper that this was no loss, but a transformation, their bloodlines merging into the nobility of Europe. What hidden legacy survived this decline? And how did it shape the world they left behind? The churches hold the key. The final blow came with assimilation. In England, the Danelaw blended into Anglo-Saxon rule. In Normandy, Rollo's descendants became French dukes. In Russia, the Rurikid dynasty ruled as Slavs. The Viking identity dissolved, their raids a memory etched in place names and DNA. The last Viking king, Harald Hardrada, died with his dream. His defeat a signal that the age of the sea wolves had ended. Yet historians ponder whether this was a fall or a metamorphosis. Did they vanish, or did they conquer by becoming part of the lands they ravaged? The answer waits, buried in the lineages of kings. As the throne crumbles, the question lingers. What toppled the Shadow Empire? The rise of castles, the spread of Christianity, the scourge of plagues, and the weight of their own success all converged to silence the dragon ships. Yet beneath the ruins lies a mystery, a legacy that pulses in the veins of nations. What drove their decline, and what secrets did they leave in the ashes of their reign? The fjords whisper, daring you to uncover the truth. The fjords fall silent, yet their echoes linger in a world transformed, where the Vikings' shadow stretches beyond their fallen empire. Beneath the modern hum of cities and the glow of screens, a secret pulse remains. Traces of a people who once ruled the seas with dragon-proud ships. Is this legacy a mere memory, or does it hide a deeper truth? a code embedded in the fabric of our lives. Step into this cryptic aftermath, where every artifact whispers a clue to the Viking mark that endures. In Normandy, their blood still flows through royal veins. Rollo's pact with Charles the Simple in 911 birthed a dukedom that became a cradle of power, its descendants conquering England in 1066 as William the Conqueror. The castles of Rouen and the Bayeux Tapestry, with its woven tale of that invasion, stand as silent witnesses to Viking ingenuity turned feudal might. Genetic studies reveal Norman DNA in British aristocracy, a legacy of raids transformed into rule. But what hidden ambition drove Rollo to trade his axe for a crown? And how did his lineage shape the thrones of Europe? The Stones of Cain hold the answer, etched in time. The Rurikid dynasty in Russia bears their northern stamp. In 862, Rurik, a Varangian chieftain, was invited to rule Novgorod, founding a line that birthed Kievan Rus and later the Tsars. Their Drakkars sailed the Volga and Dnieper, trading furs for Byzantine gold, their warriors joining the Varangian Guard to protect emperors. Chronicles like the Primary Chronicle hint at a pact, yet also at raids that shaped Slavic culture. Archaeological finds, Scandinavian swords in Russian soil, confirm this fusion, yet the question lingers. Was this a conquest or a collaboration, a shadow empire merging with the East? The Kremlin's foundations guard this secret. Language carries their whisper. In England, the Danelaw left a legacy in words like sky, knife, and window, borrowed from Old Norse, while place names ending in by, for example, Derby, and Thorpe, for example, Scunthorpe, mark their settlements. Iceland's sagas, preserved in a tongue close to Viking speech, offer a window into their minds, their poetry still sung in Nordic halls. Linguists trace these influences to a people who traded steel for words. Yet the depth of this impact raises a mystery. Did they intend to leave a linguistic code, or was it an unintended gift? The pages of the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle hint at a story yet untold. Technology hums with their echo. The Bluetooth logo, a runic fusion of Harald Bluetooth's initials, links a 10th century king to modern wireless devices, a nod to his unification of Denmark. Historians marvel at this connection, yet wonder if it's more than coincidence. Did Harald's vision of unity inspire a digital age? The Vikings' maritime skills, honed on Drakkars, laid the groundwork for naval powers like England and Denmark. Their navigation techniques influencing explorers like Eric the Red. But what ancient knowledge survives in our circuits and ships? And how does it bind us to their past? The airwaves carry this enigma. Runestones and sagas preserve their soul. Across Scandinavia, 3,000 runestones, granite slabs etched with runes, commemorate voyages, deaths, and triumphs. Their messages a cryptic diary of a lost age. The gelling stones raised by Harald Bluetooth blend pagan and Christian symbols, a bridge between worlds. Sagas like the Icelandic family sagas recount their exploits. From Ragnar's raids to Bjorn's Mediterranean journeys, their oral tradition etched into parchment. Yet scholars debate their accuracy. Do these stones hide a code, a map to buried treasures or truths? The moss-covered rocks whisper of secrets waiting to be deciphered. Their culture shaped art and law. The Oseberg ship burial, with its carved sleigh and tapestries, reveals a craftsmanship that influenced medieval design, its motifs echoing in church woodwork. The Thing Assembly, where freemen settled disputes, inspired democratic traditions in Iceland and beyond, its principles echoing in modern governance. Women's rights to property, rare in medieval Europe, left a feminist trace in Scandinavian law. But was this influence a deliberate legacy or a shadow cast by their way of life? The carvings of Uppsala hint at a deeper intent. Conspiracy theories fuel the mystery. Some claim the Vikings hid treasures, gold from Paris or relics from Lindisfarne, in secret caches, their locations lost to time. Others suggest the runes encode a prophecy, a warning about empires to come, their decline a planned retreat. Modern groups like neo-pagan sects revive their rituals, seeing in them a spiritual rebirth. Archaeologists dismiss these as fantasy, yet the persistence of these tales raises a question. What truths lie beneath the myths, and who seeks to uncover them? The shadows of the fjords guard this riddle. Their DNA flows in our veins. Genetic studies show Viking ancestry in 6% of the UK population, with higher concentrations in Scotland and Ireland, a legacy of raids and settlements. In Scandinavia, their genes mix with Slavic and Frankish blood, a testament to their assimilation. This biological thread connects us to their warriors, yet also to their women, who shaped homes and trade. What stories do these genes tell, and how do they link us to a shadow empire's rise and fall? The double helix holds the key. As the legacy unfolds, the question persists. What mark did they leave? From Normandy's castles to Russia's czars, from Bluetooth to runestones, the Vikings' influence is a tapestry of conquest and creation. Their decline was not an end, but a transformation. Their shadow stretching into our world unseen. What secrets pulse in this legacy, and how do they shape our present? The answer lies in the echoes of their ships, daring you to trace the line from past to now. The screen flickers to life, casting a glow that resurrects a shadow from the past. A Viking warrior, axe raised, stepping from history into myth. In the 21st century, the Vikings have risen again, their saga unfolding on televisions, in video games, and across comic pages, a rebirth that blurs fact with fantasy. Is this revival a mere entertainment, or does it hide a deeper code, a secret echo of their empire reaching into our minds? Step into this digital enigma, where every frame whispers a clue to the legends they've become. The television era ignited their return with Vikings, a series that debuted in 2013, crafted by Michael Hurst. Ragnarlothbrok, portrayed by Travis Fimmel, strides as a farmer-turned-king, his raids on Paris and England, weaving a tale of ambition and betrayal. The show blends historical kernels, Lindisfarne, 793, the Great Heathen Army, with dramatic flair, its battles filmed in Ireland's rugged landscapes. Yet historians cringe at its liberties, like horned helmets debunked by Mnaev, while fans embrace its gritty realism. What drives this fascination, and what truths does the screen distort to hold our gaze? The flickering images hold the answer. The Last Kingdom, airing from 2015, shifts the lens to the Danelaw, following Uhtred, a Saxon raised by Danes. Based on Bernard Cornwell's novels, it depicts the Viking conquest of England, with figures like Ubba and Guthrum clashing against Alfred the Great. Its shield walls and muddy battles capture the chaos of 9th century Britain, yet embellished with romantic subplots and exaggerated heroics. The series' popularity, with millions tuning in, reflects a hunger for Viking valor, yet raises a question. Does this glorify their terror, or rewrite it as epic? The rolling credits conceal a mystery yet to unravel. Video games thrust them into interactive glory, with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, released in 2020 by Ubisoft. Players embody Eivor, a Viking raider exploring a stylized 9th century England, blending historical raids with hidden blade combat. The game recreates Jorvik, York, and the Norwegian fjords, its open world dotted with runestones and loot, yet mixes mythology, Odin's trials, with fact. Its sales, exceeding 20 million copies, show a global obsession, yet scholars debate its accuracy. Were Vikings assassins in spirit, or is this a modern twist? The controller's hum hints at a secret coded in pixels. Comics and graphic novels add another layer. Northlanders by Brian Wood ran from 2005 to 2016, offering gritty tales of Viking life, from Iceland's harsh winters to Rus' trade routes. Its art, with stark blacks and reds, mirrors the saga's violence, while Valhalla Rising, a 2009 film inspiration, portrays a mute warrior's mystical journey. These works delve into psychology, greed, honor, survival, yet stretch history with supernatural elements. What drives creators to reshape Viking souls, and what hidden narratives do they embed in ink? The pages turn with a riddle yet unsolved. The horned helmet myth endures, a symbol born not from battle, but from 19th century opera. Richard Wagner's Der Ring des Nibelungen and later costume designs planted this image, despite archaeological silence. Viking helmets, like those from Gjörmundur, show no horns. Meniev's script echoes this debunking, yet Hollywood clings to the trope, from How to Train Your Dragon to Thor Ragnarok. This distortion fuels a romanticized Viking, yet raises a question. Why does this falsehood persist? And what does it reveal about our need for heroes? The stage lights cast a shadow over truth. Popular culture shapes their legacy with a dual edge. Vikings, Valhalla, a 2022 spin-off, continues a saga with Leif Erikson and Freydis Eriksdottir, exploring Greenland and Vinland, blending fact with fiction. For Honor, a 2017 game, pits Vikings against knights and samurai. Its multiplayer battles, a global stage for their myth. These portrayals inspire cosplay, tattoos, and even neo-pagan rituals, yet dilute historical nuance with spectacle. What draws millions to this reinvention, and what secrets do they seek in these pixelated sagas? The screen's glow hides a deeper quest. The impact reaches beyond entertainment. Tourism booms in Norway and Denmark, with sites like Lens O Meadows, proof of Vinland, drawing pilgrims to Viking roots. Museums showcase artifacts, axes, runestones, while reenactments bring battles to life, their clash of steel a living echo. This revival fuels academic interest, with DNA projects tracing Viking ancestry, yet also risks oversimplification. Is this a celebration of heritage or a mask for a lost identity? The tourist trails wind toward a truth yet uncovered. Conspiracy theories swirl around their media rebirth. Some claim Valhalla's hidden blade nods to a secret society, its developers hinting at Templar Viking ties. Others see runestone codes in games as maps to buried hordes, their lore a modern treasure hunt. These ideas, dismissed by scholars, persist online, fueling forums and documentaries. What drives the speculation, and what real echoes of their empire might these stories uncover? The digital ether holds a puzzle waiting to be solved. As the screen fades, the question lingers. What do these rebirths reveal? From Vikings to Assassin's Creed, the Vikings live again. Their image a blend of history and imagination. Their shadow cast across our culture. This reinvention is more than nostalgia. It's a mirror, reflecting our fascination with their power and mystery. What secrets pulse in this modern legend? And how do they connect us to the shadow empire of old? The final frame dares you to seek the answer. The fjords stand silent, their waters still, yet a whisper lingers. A riddle carved in runestones, etched in the blood of 1,000 voyages. The Viking Age, from its shadowy birth in 793, to its fall at Stamford Bridge in 1066 was more than a saga of raids. It was a rise and unraveling of a secret empire. Were they assassins of peace or architects of nations? Their legacy a terror or a foundation? Step into this final enigma, where every clue converges to challenge the truth of their reign. Their journey began in the icy crucible of 8th century Scandinavia, where scarcity forged a restless people. The Drakkars, serpent-proud marvels, carried them from Lindisfarne's burning monastery to Paris's ransom streets, their axes and shields rewriting Europe's map. Leaders like Ragnarlothbrok, Harald Bluetooth, and Rollo the Walker rose from tribal chaos. Their nicknames, Hairy Breeches, Bluetooth the Walker, masking tales of survival and ambition. Yet beneath their conquests pulsed a question. Was this a random tide of terror, or a calculated design to embed their blood in the world's veins? The runestones of gelling hint at a deeper plan. Their campaigns shook kingdoms, from Seville's burning outskirts to Dublin's fortified longports, their shield walls turning defense into domination. The Varangians linked north to south, founding the Rurikid dynasty, while the Danelaw shaped England's tongue and law. But as castles rose and Christianity took root, their throne crumbled. Plagues weakened their ranks, internal feuds fractured their unity, and Stamford Bridge silenced their last king, Harald Hardrada. Historians ponder whether this decline was fate or a strategic retreat, their assimilation into Normandy and Russia, a conquest by other means. What hidden hand guided their rise and fall, and what did they intend to leave behind? The legacy they left is a tapestry of shadows. Normandy's dukes, England's conquerors, and Russia's czars carry their blood, while Bluetooth technology hums with Harald's rune. Language bears their stamp, words like sky and knife. And runestones stand as silent sentinels, their cryptic messages a code yet unbroken. Popular media, from Vikings to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, reimagines their saga, the horned helmet myth enduring despite Minav's debunking. Yet this revival raises a mystery. Does it glorify their terror or uncover a truth buried in their blades? The screen's glow casts a shadow over history. Archaeology offers fragments of their soul. The Oseberg ship, buried with a chieftain, reveals a craftsmanship that influenced medieval art, its carvings echoing in churches. Mass graves at Birka whisper of plagues, while hoards of silver trace their trade routes to Byzantium. Genetic studies show their DNA in 6% of the UK, a silent conquest of genes, yet also of culture. Women's property rights and the Thing Assembly linger in Scandinavian law. But what secrets do these artifacts hide? And how do they connect to a modern world unaware of its roots? The Earth guards a puzzle waiting to be pieced together. Conspiracy theories swirl like mist. Some claim Viking hordes, gold from Paris, relics from Lindisfarne, lie in secret caches, their locations encoded in runestones. Others suggest their sagas prophesy a return, their decline a planned pause, with neo-pagan groups reviving their rituals as proof. Scholars dismiss these as fantasy, yet the persistence of these tales, echoed in online forums and documentaries, hints at a deeper quest. What drives this speculation, and what real echoes of their empire might these myths uncover? The shadows of the past hold a truth yet to surface. The question of their identity persists. Were they mere marauders, driven by greed and survival, or visionaries who saw beyond plunder to a legacy of nations? Their raids weakened the Carolingian Empire, paving the way for feudalism, while their settlements birthed cultures from Ireland to Russia. The Berserkers' fury, the Drakkars' speed, the Runestones' runes, all suggest a people with a purpose, yet their assimilation blurs the line between conqueror and conquered. Historians debate whether their empire was a fleeting storm or a foundation stone. Could their true power lie in what they left, not what they took? The sagas offer a clue, veiled in verse. The final battle at Stamford Bridge, 1066, was more than a defeat. It was a pivot. Harald Hardrada's fall, with his fleet reduced from 300 to 24 ships, marked the end of Viking raids, yet his bloodline merged into Europe's nobility. The Normans, descendants of Rollo, conquered England. Their victory at Hastings, a Viking echo. This transition suggests a plan. Did they intend to rule through lineage rather than steel? Their shadow empire evolving into the crowns of kings? The bridge's stones whisper of a legacy transformed, a riddle in motion. As the curtain falls, the enigma remains. The Vikings' story is not ended, but transformed, their influence pulsing in our genes, our words, our screens. From the fjords to the world stage, they left a mark that defies their decline, a shadow empire that thrives in silence. What was their true legacy, and what secrets did they bury for us to find? The answer lies not in the past alone, but in the mirror of our present, daring you to unlock the final riddle of the assassins who built an empire from the sea. The fjords fall silent, their waves stilled, yet a pulse remains, a shadow that stretches from the 8th century to our digital dawn. The Vikings, born in the icy chaos of Scandinavia, carved an empire with Drakkars and axes, their raids from Lindisfarne to Paris, rewriting history in blood. Leaders like Ragnarlothbrok and Rollo the Walker rose, their nicknames masking tales of survival, while their decline at Stamford Bridge in 1066 marked not an end, but a transformation. Is this saga a closed chapter, or does it hide a living enigma, its echo resonating in our world? Their journey was a tapestry of conquest and creation. From the first strike in 793, their Serpent ships carried terror across Europe, sacking Seville and founding Dublin, their Varangians shaping Russia's destiny. The shield wall turned battles into art, while runestones and sagas preserved their soul, their blood merging into Normandy's dukes and England's kings. Yet as castles rose and Christianity took root, their throne crumbled. Plagues, feuds, and assimilation silenced their raids, leaving a legacy in language, technology, and genes. Historians debate their identity, marauders or visionaries. Could their true power lie in what they left behind? The modern world bears their mark. Bluetooth hums with Harald's rune, Assassin's Creed Valhalla reimagines their blades, and tourism flocks to their ancient sites, from Lance O Meadows to Uppsala's carvings. DNA traces their conquest in our veins, while conspiracies whisper of hidden hordes and coded prophecies, their horned helmet myth enduring despite debunking. This revival is more than nostalgia. It's a mirror reflecting our fascination with their power and mystery. But what drives this enduring allure, and what secrets do these echoes conceal? The screen's glow hints at a truth yet uncovered. The question lingers: what was their ultimate design? Their raids weakened empires, birthing feudalism, while their settlements wove cultures from Ireland to the east. The Oseberg ship and silver hordes speak of a people who turned scarcity into strength, their assimilation a silent conquest. Some see a plan, a shadow empire evolving through lineage, not steel. Others a chaotic tide tamed by fate. The sagas suggest a purpose, their runes a code waiting to be cracked, yet the full picture eludes us. Was their reign a fleeting storm or a foundation stone for the world we know? As the final wave breaks, the enigma deepens. The Viking story ends not with answers, but with a challenge, a shadow that pulses in our language, our blood, our screens. Their empire fell, yet its echo lives, a riddle carved in time. What lies beyond this legacy, and what hidden truth waits to be unearthed from the depths of their past? The fjords whisper, daring you to seek the answer in the eternal shadow they cast.